Hi, my name is Lakin Newmeyer, and today I'm going to be presenting media literacy, navigating the digital world. And we're going to cover the definition of media literacy, as well as the state and federal law of CIPA, CIPA. And we're also going to discuss Renee Hobbs and her definition of media literacy. So before we begin, we need to know what is media. Media is the method in how something is communicated. For example, we have books, movies, songs, even paintings, social media, photos, television shows, and what I found surprising, even ads. Of course, this includes lots of social media applications such as TikTok, YouTube. That's where we get a lot of our media input. So we see those regularly. So now that we know what media is, what is media literacy? That is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act using all forms of communication. In other words, that's the ability to think critically about the media that you consume. Each audience member interprets a media message based on their own experiences and opinions. This means the creator's intended message isn't always what the audience perceives. Each person can find a unique meaning in the same message. So, what would a real life example of this look like? Say an influencer makes a video post and they say, "This new supplement is amazing. Everyone must get it. It's going to be totally impactful to your health." A game changer. When we are the consumer hearing that, it's important that we look at the motive behind their post. Are they getting funding from that new supplement to share this information? Or do they truly believe that? Has it really changed their life? It's important for us as the consumers to really dive deep into the message that's being relayed in the media before we just jump on the train and decide, oh yes, I have to have that. It's vital for my health. It's important that we do our own research and don't just take everything we see on the media as facts. So, did you know that the average U.S. teen spends 6 to 8 hours per day watching TV, scrolling on their phone, listening to music, etc.? That's more than 40% of your day. So think about how much time you spend consuming media each day. And after you think about it for a moment, you realize it really has taken over quite a bit of our days. And that means it is controlling or it's definitely impacting how we think about our daily lives and make decisions. So in the school system, we have a law called CIPA, CIPA, and that stands for Children's Internet Protection Act. The Children's Internet Protection Act was enacted by Congress in 2000 to address concerns about children's access to obscene or harmful content over the internet. And that came from the Federal Communications Commission from 2024. The goal of CIPA is to regulate what children are able to access by using a filter or by blocking potentially harmful content. And those types of content would be obscenity, child pornography, and anything that would be deemed harmful to minors. So in the district, schools must adhere to the requirements of CIPA, and some ways that they must follow these guidelines are to adopt an internet safety policy with protection measures, and that simply means filters. Schools must ensure the chosen internet safety program monitors the online activity of minors, and it must provide a notice and hold a public hearing to address the proposal before accepting it. In the classroom, so as educators, what must we do? We also have to adhere to these requirements, and some ways that we might facilitate this is to ensure and educate our students on appropriate online behavior. We should make them aware of cyberbullying and the red flags to look for in that, and also just give them tips and tricks and guidelines on how to interact on social platforms safely. And of course, it's crucial that educators monitor the minors online at all times. You cannot just provide a task for your students to do and then just assume that they're following that task. It's important that you are monitoring them as they work online. So for the district social media policy, I looked at my own school, Clarksville School District, just to see kind of what we had. I am familiar with them, but I just kind of wanted to help with some guidelines. So in our school district, there's no access to personal social media during instructional hours, and this is for the staff. Their staff should maintain professional boundaries. And what that means is there should not be interactions with staff, with students on personal accounts, especially sharing school information, pictures of students, or even school images. And also, our staff at our district is only allowed to use the digital platform provided by the district for communication. We've cut off all other sources of social media. We're not allowed to use even things like Class Dojo anymore. We have to use the one that is specified by our school district, which is Thrillshare. And that kind of just narrows down our means of communication. And it also tracks and keeps a log of how teachers are communicating with parents and students. So it's really for the protection of both the staff and the parents and students. And then we also have a social media policy for students as well. So students are prohibited from cyberbullying, network access to restricted sites. They're restricted from revealing personal information about themselves or other students online. And they are not allowed to use devices, especially cell phones, unless permitted by staff. And of course, Arkansas has the bell-to-bell no cell law. So students should not have their cell phone out at any time during the school day, including lunch and transitions. All right, Renee Hobbs introduces literacy media by addressing 4 terms that are important in understanding what literacy media is. So she first addresses what a tool is. That's a resource that helps you do or make things. Then there is the content. That would be the messages that matter, what you're trying to get across. The media is the way that content is shared, communicated, or expressed. And then distribution and participation is the way that you take that information and you share it. So Renee Hobbs, when explaining literacy media, talks about these 5 terms that are very important when we're looking at literacy media. So we have the terms access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act. When we're thinking about access, what kind of content are you absorbing and how did you get to it? So access is finding and consuming the digital content effectively and knowing how to safely log in and navigate websites. It's really the key to using online platforms. Then we have analyze. Do you make sense of its messages? This one is really important. It is very important that you, as the user of media, are able to interpret what it's trying to say. So you look closely at how the message is built, you observe the techniques that are used to grab your attention, and then you look for that underlying information. You're decoding the messages to understand what the point of that media is, and if they're trying to get you to believe something or buy something or whatever it may be. Next, you need to evaluate. This is where you take that and you internalize it. You sort out the facts from the fiction. Are you aware that each message is created by someone with their own goals and opinions? So their opinions may not even align with your morals, your standards, or your own goals. So it's important that you are doing the evaluation for yourself. You decide if a source is trustworthy or credible. You can do some research behind that. That's where I mentioned before about their intent on making that media. You also need to be aware so that you can spot bias, hidden motives, or information that they may be leaving out intentionally to make you believe one way or another. Next is create. What is the media creator's responsibility to those who view it? And this is something that you can consider because you can be a responsible and ethical content creator, and you make posts, videos, blogs to express your own voice. So it's important that you are doing that responsibly. And act is last. Use your voice to make positive real-world impacts and share stories to build empathy, awareness, or better decisions. And when you share these things, it's important to share responsibly. So to be more media literate, how can we engage with media in a positive way? Think carefully before sharing content, find the intent behind the messages, verify the source, and watch out for fake news, fake sites, things that are being left out to skew your thinking. And I tried to come up with a way to make this quick and easy to remember. So I have 3 buckets here. I have consume. We are always consuming media, as I said, hours and hours each day. So I chose popcorn because we consume that. So we're consuming the media. We can be creators of media. And so I have the paintbrush there. And then we can share the media. We either share what we've made or we share what others have made. But whether you're consuming, creating, or sharing, be responsible, stay thoughtful, and play it safe. As digital citizens, working together, we can build a smarter virtual atmosphere. And here are my references. Thank you for listening.